Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. As I've said before, I was away. I was working on clients and putting together a new edition of my book. And I want to thank Jonathan Friedman, who stepped in. I'm sure he did a better job than I would, because that's always been Jonathan's case. President of Mage, my business partner, does a great job. And I'm looking forward to our next guest, Jason Reposa, CEO and founder of GoodFeels. Wow. What's GoodFeels all about? Look at all that technology behind you.
Yeah, that's a bottling machine I built. So basically, thank you for having me, Jeffrey. My name is Jason, founder and CEO of GoodFeels. So the way we like to say it is that GoodFeels is for people that want to live a fun and inspired life. That's a healthy life that's full of excitement and meaning. That can mean a lot of different things for people. For me, that means enjoying time with my friends and family while feeling good so I can be present with my kids and my work. And this is a cannabis company, and cannabis isn't really known for those attributes specifically, but we're trying to bring this innovation to the market, specifically the licensed Massachusetts.
I grew up with some friends who would absolutely say cannabis made them feel better.
Right, but I more meant of the simple fact that the healthy lifestyle isn't necessarily attached to it, like that wellness aspect.
Right, right. So tell us about your products and also how you got into this business.
Sure. So our first product is a fast-acting cannabis-infused sparkling beverage that helps adults that are seeking a healthier way to relax at the end of the day or to be just social with friends. It can also act as an alternative to alcohol, which is a lot of the use case for many people who want to reduce or completely eliminate their alcohol consumption. But the reason why I got into this was because back in 2019, I was in the process of selling my company, and my jaw locked up totally due to stress. I couldn't open my mouth basically. And after about a month of trying and failing with different remedies, including some doctor recommended interventions, whether it was surgery or, injections and, needles into the skull and stuff like that, I started using cannabis and it helped me tremendously. But there's a conflict with that though, because I have a middle schooler. I'm a father of three, and I have a middle schooler, and I felt that vaping and smoking weren't really, they were contradictory to my life and my beliefs in being healthy. So, and specifically for setting a good example for my children. So, I tried edibles, but they didn't really have the same effect on me as they were too unpredictable. And then, so I basically decided at some point, I was like, there has to be a better way to do all of this. And so I just did a bunch of Googling, like anybody did. I searching. And then eventually I started looking through journals and stuff like that. But during my research, I found that you could make cannabis oil water compatible, which allowed it to have many more benefits above traditional edibles. And I hung on to that concept and kind of really developed it further and further. And but basically, just at a high level, the benefits over the traditional edibles is that you're actually getting delta-9 THC and not some byproduct of THC, which is what happens in your stomach when you have an edible. Also, it's fast-acting. That's why we have a fast-acting cannabis-infused beverage. So you don't have to wait an hour for an edible to kick in. You can literally, 5-10 minutes later, you start feeling the effects.
Wow.
And beyond that, it has a higher bioavailability. And basically what that means is that when you take an edible, it has about a 20% bioavailability, which means that like if you take a 5 milligram edible, you're getting typically into your stomach, into your bloodstream, a 1 milligram dose. And if you take a 5 milligram beverage, for instance, I just happen to have one up here, you'll get 4 to 5 milligrams and 80% plus bioavailability. So you're getting more bang for your buck when it comes to the actual consumption of the THC.
So where are you selling this product?
Well, it's not for sale today. We're hoping to launch in July, potentially depending on inspections. It's a highly regulated industry,
Right.
as you're aware. So hopefully by July, but by latest, we hope to be in market in August with a few select partners that we really trust. Try to target between 5 and 10 dispensaries to begin with, but you have to go into an actual dispensary, into an adult use based dispensary in order to get the product.
So you'd be selling through the dispensaries, not through, let's say, a regular retailer.
Correct. Yeah, you can't just go to your Walgreens and pick this up, or your Walmart or whatever. You have to go to a licensed dispensary. And since we're the product manufacturer, we can't sell directly to consumers either. We have to go through dispensaries, or in the newest iteration of the regulations, we can also go through delivery.
So this is the non-refrigerated product, I'm assuming?
We would prefer it if it was refrigerated. So we are working with some dispensaries and getting refrigerators into their facilities. But it's shelf stable though. It's just, the way we look at it, it's almost like a beer. You get a 5% beer, or you get one bottle of this, and it's the equivalent. So it has that same on ramp, like I said, within 5 to 10 minutes, but it has that same off ramp as well. So within about an hour, you have one per hour, like you'd have a beer and you'd still be sober potentially at the end of that hour. And that's kind of like the simulacra. That's like what we're trying to accomplish here. So
But-
you can really use it as a
But the
replacement.
dispensaries don't necessarily have to buy the refrigeration to be selling.
No, they don't. They can have in the, what they say in the industry, as far as I'm new to the CPG industry, specifically beverages. And so what they say is cold is sold, right? So if it's cold, people are more likely to have that impulse buy.
Right.
And so it's just better if you see it in a fridge, you're like, that looks delicious. Like, I'm just going to get it, versus buying a 6-pack or a 4-pack of it warm and then having to refrigerate it, or throw ice in it and diluting it a little bit more.
So was there some resistance from some of the dispensaries? Because, I assume some of them were not designed to be selling, to have refrigerator cases.
No, we can't get to market quick enough, basically, is what's happening right now. The demand is skyrocketing. I'm in touch with a new dispensary at least once a week that just found us randomly. The way I like to say it was, I was trying, this started as a proof of concept, but it became much bigger than I was ever expecting. And so since it's become bigger than me, we're actually going to go through a funding round soon. But basically, what I was originally trying to do was, as a proof of concept, was I was trying to be like a dandelion, right? So you cut your grass, whatever. But every time in the spring, you're going to have those dandelions pop up, right? And so it's kind of just working in the background until all of a sudden you see a dandelion pop up. That's what I was trying to do, to create that impact all of a sudden. But people are finding us much quicker than I ever anticipated. So dispensaries are contacting us, like I said, about once a week, just to figure out when we're going to launch, so we can purchase cases and cases of it.
Wow, that's interesting. So do you have business partners?
No, I'm 100% self-funded, which is why it's hard for me to take capital now, because I've been 100% self-funding this. Like I said, I sold the company in 2019. I sold the company in 2020. And so right before the pandemic, and I started this in the pandemic, right? And so I feel like I was 100% ready to put all the funding in there myself to get to the finish line, quote unquote, which basically is the starting line in this highly regulated industry. And then we were going to go in 2022 and do a round, because we know that we were going to be going into like a much larger facility. The facility right now is set up to be a proof of concept, and it can still do, millions of bottles a year, but it's just not the scale to service the entire Massachusetts market right now. But that's the plan for 2022, is to move into that facility.
Oh, interesting. So where do you see yourself in a couple of years? Because you are limited with your growth.
Right, exactly. And so, our 3-year plan basically puts us to a place where we're servicing all of Massachusetts market and all the dispensaries. We like the slow growth strategy. We're not trying to grow overnight, but at the end of 3 years, we do find ourselves in the majority of stores at that point. So, by the end of this year, we'll have about 7 employees. And by the end of 2022, we'll have about 25 employees we're expecting. And then that'll kick off our bigger facility, which we're aiming to be about 15,000 square feet or so.
Great. We've been speaking with Jason Reposa, CEO, founder of GoodFeels. I would have loved to have tasted the product. Are you going to have a sugar-free version as well?
These are technically sugar-free. There's a touch of and I can get into all the science behind this, but basically it's technically sugar-free according to the rules that I believe FDA put in place for what is considered sugar-free, but it has less than a fraction of a gram
Right.
of sweetener in it.
So Jason, if somebody wants to find the company, learn more about it, how would they find you?
So if you're looking just to find more about our products and our beliefs, then the website's the best option. That'd be getgoodfeels.com. That's GET, goodfeels.com. I'm still negotiating with the goodfeels.com owner of that domain to try to get that one, but right now it's getgoodfeels.com. And if you're looking as potentially as an investor, or if you just want to connect as another business operator, then that'd be LinkedIn. If you just search for GoodFeels, it'll be there. Or you can just email me directly too. So it's just Jason at getgoodfeels.com, traditional spelling of Jason, Jason at getgoodfeels.com. That'd be the best ways.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you taking the time to be on Radio Entrepreneurs, and hopefully you're going to come back again as you roll this out into the marketplace. We can talk more about product extension. I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me.
Great. Remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.